right, yo, what's up, and welcome into A Bettor Morning presented by Rival Fantasy. Rival Fantasy is your all-in-one fantasy sports platform. It's your boy, your host, your homie, the Corey Parson, the fantasy executive. You already know it's Monday, so it's a little bit of no-cap Corey mixed in there as well. What's up, everybody? Listen, shout out to Rival Fantasy, our naming sponsor. Got another email from them this week about the fantasy executive winning some challenges over there, so you need to make sure you get down with that as well. Coming up on the program today, preview tonight's Monday Night Football game, recap some of the things that we saw and took place yesterday. I do have a quarterback that I need to give a good stern talking to this morning. I'll tell you that who that is in a few seconds. But I got to start off with a pretty interesting, entertaining game that took place. Sunday Night Football, football night in America between the Kansas City Chiefs and the New York Football Jets. Went down last night, 23-20. Was the final score. The New York Jets cashed the ticket at +8. Also, the under comes in on this game right here. Solid job from you-know-who, Patrick Mahomes, Kansas City Chiefs. You know what they bring in every game. Patrick Mahomes, 18-30, 203, 2 interceptions in the game to keep the Jets in the game. Also should have been a third interception. Isaiah Pacheco ran the football well. Patrick Mahomes also ran for 51 yards. Travis Kelce, 6 catches for 60. Isaiah Pacheco also got involved in the passing game as well. On the New York side, Breece Hall did a great job running the football, getting 9 yards a pop. Allen Lazard, Garrett Wilson with the big 14 targets today. Also, Tyler Conklin coming through. But really the story of this game right here was a number of different things. Let's start out with the fact that obviously the whole Taylor Swift thing, I'm good. The whole Taylor Swift thing, right? So the Taylor Swift thing is like this, right? So she's at the game. She's at the Meadowlands. She's sitting in the suite, you know what I'm saying? And, like, they got to do a special open because of Taylor Swift. Then Mike Tirico and Chris Collinsworth got to talk about Taylor Swift. Okay, whatever. Enough of that. But what was particularly interesting is that Aaron Rodgers was in the building. Toronto Dave, what's shaking, baby? Aaron Rodgers was in the building. And with Aaron Rodgers in the building, I got to admit, New York Jet quarterback Zach Wilson looked much more comfortable last night, especially when he got into the second quarter and started getting that ball out of his hands a little bit quicker. That quick release was a difference maker for Zach Wilson last night. Wilson started off slow in the first quarter. It looked like it was going to be another Zach Wilson performance where he gets booed out the building. But no, he came through last night. Finished the game strong, 28-39, 20-45 yards, 2 touchdown passes, and all around a competent performance from the New York Jet quarterback. Plenty to be optimistic about. But the late fumble did cause the New York Jets to lose the game. But not only did the New York Jets lose the game on that late fumble by Zach Wilson that gave the ball back to the Kansas City Chiefs, but for the second time this season, one side of a bet has swung either way on the final play of a game. And it's the worst kind this time because it affected fantasy and then it affected sports bettors, right? Because late in the game, when they're trying to seal the deal, Patrick Mahomes could have strolled into the end zone. Instead, he got it to 1st and goal, slid down, did not get the touchdown. New York Jets lose by 3 points instead of by 10 points, meaning no cover, no successful laying of the number for Kansas City Chiefs backers, which I was one of last night. If you took the Jets +8, congratulations, you got a little cheap, lucky win underneath your belt. But listen, all the wins are lucky. We saw this a couple of weeks ago with Sean McVay kicking that late field goal. So Patrick Mahomes fantasy guys got to be tough on you because you won the other Mahomes touchdown, especially after those 2 picks. If you are a guy that was on that lane, that number with the Kansas City Chiefs, that's a bad way for that one to lose right there because all Mahomes had to do was stick the ball out, and that would have been a touchdown. You would have got your cover. Fantasy managers would have gotten their latest fantasy points to end the night from one Mr. Patrick Mahomes. But all in all, a pretty good game, decent game, better than I thought it was going to be. I'm not into the whole Taylor Swift thing, but what I will tell you is this. Got to be optimistic about the New York Jets offense if you are a Garrett Wilson fantasy owner, if you're a Breece Hall fantasy owner, if you're a fan of the New York Jets. He did look competent last night. Zach Wilson did with Aaron Rodgers in the building. So hopefully that continues on for New York Jet fan. But we got to go to the other team in the AFC East. Because no cap Corey, if I see it, I got to say it. And even if I'm not above being critical of my own self. I'm not above being critical of my own hot takes. A little over a year ago, when this network started and this network began, I procrastinated. I got on my fantasy executive soapbox and I bigged up the name of one Mr. Mac Jones, quarterback of the New England Patriots, just coming off a season where, as a rookie, he took his team to the playoffs. Mac Jones looked competent. He looked intelligent. He looked like he was going to be the kind of a guy that can be a quarterback, a little bit above the game manager, franchise-style quarterback. Last season, I said, hey, listen, bad year for Mac Jones, no offensive coordinator. You know what I'm saying? You can't leave the second-year quarterback out like that. And not to mention the fact the great Marty Schottenheimer, who should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, once said, the way you get a quarterback to compete as good as he did in his first year as he did in his second year, if a quarterback competes as good in his second year as he did in his first year, call it an improvement. So we know there's second-year quarterback struggles, right? That was last year when this network first started. I was a big Mac Jones guy. Now, if I see it, I got to say it, and I got to tell the truth. Mac Jones was benched yesterday, and I probably would have benched him a little bit earlier than Bill Belichick did, and the New England Patriots' disgusting 38-3 loss to the Dallas Cowboys. Now, how about them Cowboys? Bounced back nicely yesterday. I was worried about them. But when Mac Jones got out there yesterday, and he started doing what Mac Jones all of a sudden does, I was like, my God, what happened to this guy? Yes, I was backing Mac Jones. Yes, I was a Mac Jones supporter. But right now, I got to tell the truth. No cap, Corey. Mac Jones sucks. Bro, just bad decision after bad decision after bad decision. Completion percentage under 70. 4 touchdown passes, 4 interceptions. You name it, Mac Jones, 2 interceptions, a fumble, poor performances all around. He looks like a quarterback that doesn't know what he's doing out there. Yes, I understand the Dallas Cowboys defense is tough and that pass rush can get after you. But the 2 interceptions you threw yesterday, bro, those was bad interceptions like that. Team gets embarrassed. You get benched for barely zapping. New England Patriot fan, need a new quarterback. I got to keep it a buck with you. I don't think there's no fixing this guy. You know what I'm saying? Don't get me wrong. I went from a supporter to not being a supporter, but I don't know if this guy can be fixed. Bad turnovers, fumble, interception. Tried to throw another pick six. Throwing the football. He looked like Carson Wentz yesterday. For a minute, I said, is this Mac Jones or is this Carson Wentz? Throwing the football backwards, contorting your body in all kind of ways, and throwing the football like that, like you're playing Pop Warner football and stuck you at AT&T Stadium. That's Jerry Jones up there. Horrible performance from Mac Jones. You need to see the bench, son. You was right. Now, after the game, they did say that Jones was going to continue to be the starter. Jones was going to continue to be QB1. If Jones continues to play like this, he's going to be QB2. You can't look like Carson Wentz in 2023 and think that's going to cut it in the NFL. You can't throw the football with your opposite hand. You can't throw the football pirouetting, jumping, spinning around to the other side of the field, Mac Jones. You can't do that. That's not the Patriot way. That's the Cleveland Brown way. I hate that the Cleveland Browns caught a little shrapnel right there. Horrible performance from Mac Jones. Now, I know what they say about me, fantasy executive Corey Parson. Corey, you know what? You a big city broadcaster. You are a New York sports talker. You a Northeast broadcaster where all you like to do is criticize. You do too much criticizing and not enough talking about the good stuff that the players do. We don't like to hear you always criticizing people. Okay, so I'll lay back on my criticisms. I'll lay back on my trash talking. I'll pull it in a little bit when I'm talking about the players. I won't mention Justin Fields doing it again yesterday. I won't mention how he was having quite possibly the game of his career, but yet with the game on the line, he turned the ball over. I won't mention that. I won't mention him snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. I won't mention that. When the team needed him the most, I won't mention it. because I don't want to seem like I'm being too negative on Justin Fields. So I won't mention one of the worst god-awful turnovers you would see. I will mention the bad decision by his head coach not kicking that field goal. You caused him to lose on that one right there. Fantasy executives, stop being so negative. How they keep saying I'm negative. How they said you don't want to talk about anything positive. You just want to talk about the negative stuff. They don't want me to talk about Joe Burrow's 2 touchdown passes and 2 interceptions being his only 2 touchdown passes on the season. They don't want me to mention Joe Burrow yesterday having a completion percentage of 45%. They don't want me to talk about the 57% completion percentage from Joe Burrow on the season. They don't want to talk about the 165 yards he passed for yesterday against the Tennessee Titans, who just got lit up by Deshaun Watson. They don't want me to talk about Joe Burrow not playing his best. They don't want me to talk about Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals offense getting out offense by the Tennessee Titans, who can't out offense anybody. They don't want me to talk about that. It's too negative. So I won't mention Joe Burrow. I won't mention the fact that he's hurt and should be on the bench. They just want me to talk positive. They don't want me to bring up Kenny Pickett. 4 touchdowns, 4 interceptions on the season. They don't want me to bring up, now listen, I hope the MRI goes good and I hope the young man is healthy and continue. They don't want me to talk about how Kenny Pickett has regressed. They say I'm too negative. Don't talk about Kenny Pickett regression. I won't mention it. They don't want to talk about the job they don't want me to mention the job that Bryce Young is doing in his first month as an NFL quarterback. And I'm a Bryce Young guy. Really, is Frank Wright fault? Send 5 out in the route, can't protect the quarterback, but you send 5 out in the route. But the quarterback got to take some blame too. The turnovers son of bad. And I'll be honest with you, I knew coming in that Bryce Young was a littler guy, that he was a slight guy. But yesterday, as I'm watching the Carolina Panthers and I see Bryce Young on the field, my mind automatically, who's that boy on the field? Oh, that's the quarterback. Look over again. It's a kid on the field. Oh, wait a minute. That's the quarterback. I thought it was Halloween. I thought a kid came on the field with a number 9 jersey on. But it was the actual quarterback of the Carolina Panthers. I'm sorry. They don't want me to be negative. They don't want me to mention that. So I won't do it. I won't talk about that stuff. I promise you, I will not mention the negative things that these players did. I'm going to talk about Burrow. I'm going to talk about Fields. I'm going to talk about Pickett. I'm going to talk about Bryce Young. I won't talk about Desmond Ridder, Hal. I'm serious. I thought they were playing dress up at the stadium in Charlotte because I was like, it's a kid on the field in the Panthers uniform. The kid is the starting quarterback. You want to talk about some positive things? Let's do that. Let's bring it down a little bit. Let's talk about positive things. Let's talk about Lamar Jackson looking like MVP Lamar Jackson yesterday. Let's talk about 2 rushing touchdowns, 2 passing touchdowns. You know how they always say, he don't have no weapons. What do I always say? When the quarterback make $45, $46, $50 million, he's the weapon. Lamar Jackson is the weapon. Yeah, Mark Andrews is there. Yeah, Zay Flowers, young players there. Odell, Mark, let me tell you something. Lamar Jackson's the weapon, and Lamar Jackson was weaponing yesterday. MVP Lamar. Vintage Lamar, Toronto, good one. Throwback Lamar. That's the Lamar Jackson that can beat any team in this league. That Lamar Jackson can beat any team in this league almost by itself. I got to be positive. I got to put a good spin on it because nobody just don't want to see me angry, upset, talking about the poor quarterbacks. I got to talk about the job of Josh Allen, who I've been very critical of. I called him an AFC Dak Prescott. 4 touchdown passes yesterday. Let me tell you something. Josh Allen tore the Miami Dolphins up yesterday. Josh Allen had 4 incompletions and 4 touchdown passes. MVP Josh Allen has returned. Now, when adversity strikes, he can still be an AFC Dak Prescott. But for right now, got to love what he's doing. Shout out to Josh Allen. He's back in the MVP race. You want to talk about positive things? How about the Houston Texans kicking the Pittsburgh Steelers' butt yesterday? How about C.J. Stroud getting it done? No turnovers. What's this? No turnovers on the year. Another 300-yard passing game. They go and get tough. Pittsburgh start to make a comeback. C.J. Stroud dropping it in the bucket. And then, hey. Shout out to C.J. Stroud to Houston, Texas. C.J. Stroud, runaway rookie of the year. They want to talk about positive things. How about that comeback from the Indianapolis Colts and Anthony Richardson? How about the 36 fantasy points that Anthony Richardson put in your lineup if you had him as a starting quarterback? Anthony Richardson is a top 12 fantasy quarterback every week. He should not be on your bench. If you got Joe Burrow and Anthony Richardson on your team, you should be playing Anthony Richardson. Got to talk about Anthony Richardson because that's positive right there. They want to mention positive stuff, talk positive stuff. Speaking of positive stuff, how about Christian McCaffrey? My God. I understand that Tyreek Hill and Justin Jefferson are up there, favorites to win the Offensive Player of the Year this year. But really, when you talk offense in the NFL, it starts with Christian McCaffrey, CMC. 4 touchdowns yesterday. Easy work. The usage, the yardage, the offense, everything that Christian McCaffrey does is A++++. CMC, Christian McCaffrey. Corey, how did the Fairwinkle did Fields invert this stat line? Over 300 passing yards, under 50 rushing. Crazy. But he did figure out a way to turn that football over at the end of the game. So those are some of my thoughts from yesterday. I tried my best not to be too negative. I really did. Tried my darndest not to be too negative. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sorry. I had to go in on Mac Jones a little bit. But for the most part, I thought I was nice. I didn't mention Fields. I didn't mention Burrow. I didn't mention Pickett. I did make fun of the kid for looking like a kid. But what do you want me to do right there? Week comes to an end tonight. Monday Night Football. Only one Monday night game tonight. That's unfortunate. I was really digging the 2 Monday night games. You got the Seattle Seahawks traveling to New York to take on the New York Giants. The Seahawks is short road favorite. You got a 1.5 right now at FanDuel. There's some twos popping up across the place. I'm on the Seahawks. You want to shop for the best number. Probably just end up playing the money line, but they should beat the New York Giants pretty good. Saquon Barkley, doubtful for the New York Giants, likely going to be out. Let me tell you something. Let's Saquon Barkley. The thing that Saquon Barkley did at the end of the year last year, at the beginning of the year this year, he should be ashamed of himself. Saquon Barkley went and cried about that money, got the running backs all into a frenzy to the point where Jonathan Taylor don't even got a job now. He should be back this week, though, starting practicing soon. I heard he might be practicing soon. But they caused this big riff about the running backs. Then Saquon comes back, and he takes basically the same deal he was offered, and he immediately gets hurt. This is why they didn't want to give you the money, Saquon. Because you can't stay on the field, son. And I understand it's a high ankle sprain, not your fault. You play football. But bottom line of the matter is that's a bad investment. You got an incentive-laden contract. You're not going to hit none of them incentives. You're not going to hit any of those incentives. You never hit them before. Why would you hit them now? As soon as the New York Giants got a little bit good, everybody on the roster put their hand out, started asking for money. Then the team went to the tank. They're going to lose. Like, Seals going to beat them up pretty good tonight. The New York Giants cannot compete or contend with the top teams in the NFC. But you can compete and contend with the team in your fantasy league by starting a free 7-day trial of Fantasy Alarm's All-Pro subscription. Get all the Week 4 and Week 5 DFS content and picks for free. Go to fantasyalarm.com/win. You really cannot do a promo better than what I just did with that one right there. You really can't. Heather, can I get some love in the chat, please? You really can. Can you really clip that right there and show up-and-coming broadcasters how to do a promo? That's what I would do. I would clip that right there and show up-and-coming broadcasters how to do a promo because I just nailed that one. Get the fantasy executive a pat on the back. Corey Parson, fantasy executive, a.k.a. No Cap Corey. I'm trying to be a more positive Corey. But on a more positive note, I would implore you to lay the number 1 to Seattle Seahawks tonight. I think we could see a big night from Tyler Lockett. I do think the Giants fight back as well. Jalen Hyatt could be an interesting play tonight because I think that's who they go to when they need an explosive play. They're going to need explosive plays tonight. Darren Waller should be the guy getting the most targets if he's out there and he's healthy, so that's how that one should go right there. I'm trying to be a more pleasant Corey Parson. I'm trying to be a more pleasant fantasy executive. I don't want to come up here every day and talk about quarterbacks that's performing like Mac Jones and need to be put on the bench. I want to talk about guys like Lamar Jackson that's getting it done. But what I want to do more than anything else is wish you a better morning. See you tomorrow.